So, I never really thought that, I would be coming back to YouTube just because of the fact that, I'll be so honest, I low key just like lost passion for really doing YouTube since it's been like 3 months and I just haven't really thought of any other content that I wanted to do. So, I just kind of low key stopped posting. But I figured I'd come back because I wanted to talk about, David and the whole case because, that's just been blowing up for like the past few weeks after his arrest and even more so, just in the past year alone. And I'll be so honest, I think in like the first time in a probably long time, the whole case with David has just kind of has just genuinely shocked me because, for someone that makes bedroom pop music, which is basically one of the more chill genres of music, I honestly would have never thought that he would be just so heartless and just capable of just killing and dismembering a 14-year-old girl who, mind you, which is even more disturbing, was also his girlfriend. And it's disturbing because at the time of recording this video, he's 21. And the girl he was dating, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, she's 14. And it's so weird and just so disturbing to think about. And his song Romantic Homicide basically just details his crime. Even though the song came out in 2023, what would happen basically 2 years later, it just can't be a coincidence. He basically just detailed his crime literally in the song. And it kind of begs the question, with David, can you really separate his art from like the artists themselves? And honestly, I don't even think with David that you really can because he basically just, like I said, detailed his crimes and everything in that song alone. And there's even a leaked song that also, went around for some time after, the whole thing called Celeste. And, I don't really know much about the song because I haven't really listened to it, nor do I even fucking want to. But, literally, it's just all I really know is that it's just a song that's literally made for her. And, I'll be honest, like, I can't even look at David the same anymore after, what has happened. I knew about him since, he blew up with Romantic Homicide in 2023. But, if I had known that, like, 2 years later, he would just do the most despicable acts on, his girlfriend, which is just so disturbing to even say that's his girlfriend on top of that. Like, it's even more gross just thinking about it. So let me give you guys like a few examples on like some artists or just some musicians that I feel like you could definitely separate the artist from. If you know the black metal band Mayhem, they're more infamous because, Varg, he killed Euronymous, one of the people in Mayhem. But here's the thing, in their songs, yeah, they were mostly like satanic themes, as that's what black metal mostly is. It's just detailing, satanic themes and all that. But the thing is it's not like they detailed that, Varg was gonna kill Euronymous in any way. This was just kind of planned, but not because of like any songs they made. So, in a way, you could separate the art from the artist. Yeah, Varg's a bad person, but, what he did in Mayhem, is relatively good. And it's not like they detailed what they did to Euronymous. Another artist, Gigi Allen, Gigi Allen is highly controversial because, he would always claim in interviews, like, that he would rape little boys and little girls and all that. And yeah, highly disturbing. He never actually did that. It was just simply because his image was just so controversial. He just figured might as well make it more controversial. And he had such a fucked up life too. Not excusing, all the shit that he did, like, all those assault charges and just shitting on people, pissing on people, and even like masturbating at like small shows and shit. While that is highly disturbing, it's not like he ever detailed that he was gonna fuck boys and girls that are young. he never actually did that. The most that ever came up was just the hundreds of assault charges that he had. But you could, I guess, in a way, separate the art from the artist because, it's not like he ever actually did what he said he did, despite the controversial lyrics and what he said in his final interview. But with David, he basically just detailed his crimes. Like, he basically took self snitching at his finest. You listen to a lot of like gangster rap and how they self snitch. This man basically self snitched worse than the gangster rappers themselves of the 90s and the modern day. And it's so crazy to me. Like, and then on top of that, they found freaking CP and whatnot on his phone. 8 terabytes. You know how much a whole terabyte is in itself? That's a whole lot. 8 terabytes of CP just on his iCloud. Honestly, man, they should give him the death penalty. Honestly, that disgusting man, dude. It don't matter like what he is. Throw away the goddamn key. Fucking, give him the death penalty, but as soon as possible. Hell, torture him for all I care, bro. Dude's a disturbing individual. Fuck his ass, bro. He don't deserve any fucking love. That's all I gotta say for you guys. Fuck David. Have a good night.